Hello everyone, my name is Luke Lloyd and today I'm going through the Year 5, Block 5, Lesson 4 homework for CEM Maths. So let's get going. This is what we're looking at today. So this was the homework instructions and today I'm going to be marking this column here, the week 2, and it's tests 3, 4 and 5 from the quick practice test book. So the way that we'll do this is I will show you the questions, I'll run through them, I'll do any working out that I think is appropriate, and then hopefully you guys can mark along with me. Obviously, let us know how you go. If you have any questions or you're not sure, remember you can always drop in at any of the Q&As or the end of any session. So if for whatever reason you've gotten halfway through, you're stuck, you've looked at the back of the book, you've watched my explanation here, and it doesn't make sense, just any recorded lesson, any CEM lesson that we're going through, you could come to the very end, the last sort of 10 minutes of that, and just ask some questions there, and I'll be happy to go through anything with you. Other notices that are really important, please make sure that you don't come back until the 25th, because that's when our first lesson is. We're about to break up for Easter, and that means the first live lesson will be on Saturday the 25th. So there won't be any lessons until then, and that does mean, of course, if you're now marking this homework, you won't have any new homework until you've had that lesson on the 25th. So don't do any more. For example, don't go on to week 3 until you've had the week 3 lesson. I think that's everything to say before we start. One other thing, of course, a bit late now perhaps, while you're doing this, please make sure, of course, you are timing. They always give the number of minutes to do the appropriate questions. Make sure you're sticking that to get maximum value. Do it first under time conditions, and then if you didn't finish it, you could always go back afterwards and finish it off with added time, and then you can give yourself 2 different scores based on that, and that's how I'd recommend approaching these. Right, test 3 to start with, so hopefully you're on the correct book, on the correct page, pencils are ready. Let's make a start with question 1. So, what value does the digit 9 represent in that number? And the answer is, in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's on there. So that would be 900 because it's in the hundreds position. You can tell because the presence of a dot versus a comma, and that dot is obviously really important for distinguishing what we're doing. Question 2. Linda and Greg share 345 apples in the ratio 7 to 8. How many does Greg receive? So for this, I would have my ratio labeled. So since it says Linda and Greg, I'm going to do L and G. And in order to work out a share, I have to first off work out the total number of pieces I'm splitting it into. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I work out if Linda's getting 7 and Greg's getting 8, the total number of splits, the total number of shares, is going to be 7 plus 8. So there's going to be 15 shares, parts, portions. I've heard it described in a great many ways. And what this means is we have to now divide our total by 15. So it's 345 divided by 15. Now, whether you do a bus stop or however you're doing it, that's fine. The answer to that is 23. So 345, 15 goes into 345 23 times. So now the way I like to set this out, let me just make some space, is that one share or one part equals 23. And now I can answer whatever I need. So in this case, I want to know what Greg does. So I now want to know what 8 parts is. And so going from there is 8 times bigger. So I need to do 23 times by 8. And 23 times by 8 is 184. Final answer. So now we need to do question 3. 7 sheep eat an average of 2.5 kilograms of grass each per day. Okay, so 7 of them eating 2.5 each. How much grass is eaten by the 7 sheep in 1 week? So 1 week. So let's start from the beginning. We've got 7 sheep, and each one eats 2.5 kilograms, and they're going to do that for 7 days. So the maths is 7 times 2.5. That's the sheep, and that's the days. Sorry, that's the sheep, that's the amount per day, and we're doing that for 7 days. And in terms of how to work this out, I would do 7 times 7, which is 49, times 2.5. And that's because you can do it in any order, it doesn't matter. And then 49 times 2.5 equals 1 to 2.5 kilograms. So the answer is 1225. So that's my steps. I've done that first, then that, and that. And 2 lots of 49 plus half of 49. That's how I did that. Right, next question. Let's change the colour. Question 4. 750 students attend daybreak school. Half of them are boys. 4/5 of the girls have brown hair. How many girls don't have brown hair? Right. So really, half of them are boys. Works out means that half of them are girls. So you've got half of 750 equals 375. So that's how many girls there are. Then if 4/5 have brown hair, 1/5 don't. So if I can work out what 1/5 of 375 is, I'll get my answer. And with this, we just got to remember, we divide by the bottom times by the top. Well, 1 times 375 is the same. And then 375 divided by 5 is going to be 75. Job done. 75. Equally, you could have worked out what 4/5 is, which would be 300, and then taken it away to find the difference, but I think that's slightly more elegant. Right, number 5. Area of a square is 64. What's the perimeter? Well, if it's a square, the sides are the same. And since I know my square numbers, I've learnt them, I know that that means that's 8 centimeters and 8 centimeters. And if they're all 8 centimeters, 8, 8, 8, and 8, that's going to be 3 lots of 8, which is 32 centimeters. I know that based on the fact that it's a square, so all the sides are the same. Right, number 6. How many more fifths are there in 25 than thirds in 29? Oh, goodness me. So fifths in 25 is going to be 25 divided by 1/5. And then thirds is going to be 39 divided by a third. And the method for dividing by a fraction is to keep the first one the same, change the sign, and then flip the fraction. So we're going to have 39 times by 3/1. And what this means is I have to do 25 times 5, because dividing by 1 doesn't do anything, so 125. And then 39 times by 3, which is a bit harder, 117. So how many more are there? Well, that's the difference, and the difference is 8. Okay, so that's how we work out how we do dividing by fractions. I think it's they call it keep, flip, change. Keep, change, flip. Helen has 32 pet fish, 12 are blue. Right, so if 12 are blue, 20 aren't. And it then goes on to say Helen picks one fish at random. What's the probability that's not blue? Well, it's the ones that aren't out of the ones that are. 20 out of 32. It does then give us a simplest form. So to simplify, highest common factor is best, but any factor will do. So let's divide it both by 2. So that becomes 10. And that becomes 16. Both even, so I divide it by 2 again. So that becomes 5. Becomes 8. Check. Nope, can't simplify anymore. Final answer, 5/8. Number 8, calculate 6 minus 7 times 9 minus 8 times 9. So here it's BIDMAS. So remember that is brackets, indices, division, multiply, add, and subtract. So we've got to do everything in the brackets first. So it's this, but then things that are inside the brackets again first. So we need to do 7 times 9. The way I like to do my 9 times table is I'll do 7 times 10, which is 70, take away 1 7, which is 63. 8 times 7, you could do something similar where you take away 2 of them. And in fact, since I've worked out 7 times 9, 7 times 8 is going to be 1 less. So it's going to be 56. So that's those done. I'm going to then add in the brackets I need. I still haven't done that outside bracket. So I've now got this. So now I have to do, I still can't do this bit first, so I'll do the bracket. So 63 minus 56. Well, the difference is going to be the amount of 7s. So it's going to be 7 different left over. And then 6 minus 7 equals minus 1. Minus 1. Right, and that's it. So guys, give us a score out of 8. You can have 2 scores. You can have your score under time conditions and your score. Eventually you could write them both down. That's absolutely fine. And then they tell you what you need to work on. But really well done for getting through that. Right, test 4. Again, 5 minutes to do this, and it's amazing how quickly this 5 minutes will go. Let's start going through the questions. So one is adding some fractions. So how do we do this? A couple of ways. First thing you do is just add these two numbers. So 3 plus 5, 2 plus 3, sorry, equals 5. Now, off to the side maybe, I'm dealing with 1/4 plus 1/5. The way to do that is to make the bottom denominator the same. Both of these can be multiplied to make 20, which means I can keep equivalent fractions but change the denominator. So how do I do that? Well, actually, 4 times 5 is 20, so I know that in order to make the 4 20, I have to times it by 5, so I'm going to times the 1 by 5. In order to make the 5 20, I have to times it by 4, so I times the 1 by 4. And now I can see really nicely it's 9 out of 20. Not remembering I had 5 units and 9 20s. We might still need to simplify that if we can. Double check. Nope, we're happy. The answer is B. Right, number 2. Fair dice is rolled and a fair die is cost. What's the probability of getting a 3 and a tails? Okay, so we've had a fair dice, and the odds of getting a 3 on a fair dice is 1 out of 6. The probability of landing on tails is 1 out of 2. The probability of both events happening at the same time, you times them together. So a half of a sixth is actually a 12th. So if you do both events 1 out of 12 times, you'll get those two results. So it's the and, which means concurrently. The other thing is what's the odds of getting, well, no, that's your example. So the odds of two things happening, it's the two probabilities multiplied together. Question 3. Function machine multiplies the input by 7, then divides by 2. If the output is 42, well, let's go in reverse. So we got 42, and it was divided by 2, so to go back one, we're going to times by 2. So that's going to be 84. And it multiplies by 7, so this one would have been divided by 7 to get the number. So 84 divided by 7 is 12. So that's my idea. Now let's just check it. I think it's worth doing. 12 times 7, 84, times divided by 2, 42. I've just done it in reverse based on what they said. Correct. Right, number 4. Every minute a snail travels 2 centimeters north and 1.5 centimeters east. How far does it travel in an hour? Well, minute and hour, there are 60 minutes. So it's going to do 60 norths. Sorry, 60 times 2 norths. And it's going to do 60 times 1.5 easts. Oh, this is only asking east. Well, that's a shame I worked out north. It's going to be 1.5 of 60, which is 90. And 90 centimeters is going to be 0.9 meters. So the thing is just noticing it was 1 hour to minutes, so it's going to do 60 minutes worth. So 60 times that amount, and then change the units. Number 5, how many lines of symmetry does the letter S have? So on that one, we have to think it's got rotational symmetry, but I don't think there are any lines of symmetry at all. So my answer for this one is 0. No lines of symmetry. Because I couldn't fold it in half, I couldn't fold it across, I couldn't fold it sideways or sideways. So I checked all my directions. Right. ABC is an equilateral triangle. BCD is a straight line. What is the value of F? So F is just this one here. So an equilateral triangle, you need to know some facts about it. All the angles in a triangle add up to 180, and all of these angles are the same. There's only one number that you can add 3 times to get 180, and that's 60. So all of these angles are 60 degrees because it's an equilateral triangle. And if you know that, there's a rule called angles in a straight line. And if this here is 60, that angle there is 60, and the whole thing is 180, you have to ask yourself, what's the extra bit? What's that little bit going to be? And it's going to be 120 because it's 180. Take away 60. So there's your answer, 120 degrees. 7. Figure 1 is formed from a rectangle and 2 triangles. What's the area of figure 1? Well, I'm just going to work out the area of the individual pieces. So the area of my middle is going to be 12 times 7, that's 84. And that's because the area of a rectangle is base times height. Area of the triangle, you've got to remember, is half of the base times the height. So for this one, the height is 6, so that's going to be half times 6 times that base there is times 12. So half, let's just do it this way, I'm going to do half of 12 is 6, and 6 times 6 is 36. I'm just going to check visually, yep, that looks smaller, and it is smaller, nice little logic check. This one, the base is 6, the height is 7, so it's going to be half of, 8 times 7. And with this, I'm going to do half of 8, which is 4 times 7, which is final answer. Is going to be 28. So now, final answer for number 7, just add up the areas, this area plus that area plus the third. And that's going to be 148 centimeters squared. I would do that, I would add your 6 and 4 to get 10, and then add the 30 on, and add the 28 on. Right, last page, last few questions. The cost of a holiday C in pounds can be calculated by equaling cost equals 2 times 270 times W plus 136. W is the number of weeks. So a fortnight is 2 weeks. So I can do some substitution. So my holiday, my cost is going to be 2 times 270. 270 W, that means times by 2. Can't just write the 2 in. There's always a times in there, something you've got to remember, got to learn. Plus 136. Remember our bid mass, so we do inside the brackets, we do the times first. So 270 times 2, I would do 20 times 2 is 40, 7 times 2 is 14, so it's going to be 540. Let's do probably 2 into 540 plus 136. Now we do our brackets again. 540 plus 136, going to be 2 brackets. We've got 6, 7, 6. And 2 times 676, it's going to be 1,352 pounds, which is one of these answers. Oh, yes, it is. So there are your steps. And then C, if we're being really proper, says C is all of them. But again, imagining that I'm doing it how you'd be doing it under time, just going through, doing the working, expanding your brackets, getting a final value, and then at the end, make sure you remember, have a think about what the units are. So next question, number 9, what is the median? The median is the middle, but only when they're in order. So the first thing is to put them in order. So 1, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then that's 1, 2, 3 nines. 1, 2, 3. Let's check. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Always worth checking that you've got the same number as you started with. And now, nice and simple, I can just start crossing out from the outside. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Ooh, that should be on. That should be on this one here. So let's move that over. 1, 2. And now I've been left with 2 numbers. If I was left with only 1 number, I'd pick it. Since I'm left with 2 numbers, I have to find the middle of those 2 numbers. And the middle halfway between 5 and 6 is 5.5. If you want a method that always works, if you add them together and then divide it by 2, you'll always find the middle of 2 numbers. Right. Number 10, last one. What word best describes angle A? Well, I know it can't be, it's not a right angled, and it can't be more than a right angled triangle, because all the angles of a triangle add to 180 degrees. And right angled degrees like this, it's obviously less. So it's something less than 90, and I would call anything less than 90 an acute angle. I think that's it. again, you'd see it was more than 90, or something like that, which is very different. Right, one more activity. Test 5, again, another little 5-minute test. We'll go through it. Probably takes longer to mark than it does to do the tests. Okay. A lorry contains 724 red apples, 324 green apples. They're mixed together and each one holds 25. How many boxes? Okay, well, this is going to be a simple add 'em, divide 'em. So 324 plus 324. Ooh, make that a bit cleaner. It's going to be 8, 4, 8, 4, 2, and 10. So 1048. And then 1048 divided by 25. I would probably do 1,000 divided by 25 is going to be 40 boxes. And then I would say you need 2 more because you'll need to have more than a box. So plus 2 more boxes. Final answer, 42. And again, you could have done the bus stop method, but I think, and you'd have gotten a decimal and realized that you round up, but actually just thinking how many fit into each, split up into 2 numbers. So that equals, then you'd need 2 boxes to do the 50 more to make it 1050, which is more than you need. With these, you'd always, this is just something that some students find a little hard to understand, you would always need more room because you can't have less, because obviously you'd have 20 something apples left over. Number 2, how many multiples of 3 are greater than 212 but less than 228? So with that, if we just list them out, you've got multiple 3, so 213 is your first one, 226, 219, 222, 225. And if you're wondering where to start and how you get there, I mean, it's a couple of ways. If you just started with sort of 60, which you know, and doubled it 120, doubled 120, you could sort of work your way up to it in 3 times table. I think that's probably the easiest way. And then just add 3s or decrease 3s. So for example, if you did 60, 120 plus 90, these are all multiples of 3, it's 210. And then from there, 210, next one is 213, and now you're within the range, and you can just keep going by adding 3 each time. That's how I would get within sort of striking distance, get close without having to start from 1 and count your way up. That might take an awful long time. Number 3, Bob wears a tie, a shirt, and a jacket. He has 3 ties, 3 shirts, 3 jackets. How many different combinations? Well, it's 3 times 3 times 4 different combinations, which is going to be 3 times 12, which is 36 different combinations of jackets. Number 4, we've got a figure consists of 2 hexagons. The area of the small hexagon is 3 times smaller than the area of the large. So it's 3 times smaller. The area of the large is 48. So if the area is 48 for the big, the small one is 3 times smaller. So it's going to be divided by 3. And then whatever that is, we simply have to take away the difference. So that's going to be 16, and then, 16, and then 48 minus 16, which is 32 centimeters squared. There you go, that's the answer for that one. Number 5. The average of 3 numbers is 17. What was the sum? Well, remember, with average is the same as mean. And you work that out by doing the total divided by how many? that equals 17. So what it's really saying is the total divided by 3 equals 17. So the total equals 17 times by 3. So 51, then it says what is 3 times the sum of those numbers? So the sum of those numbers is going to be 51 times by 3, which is going to be 153. Question 6. Following a discount of 30%, the price of a coat is 84. So the price is 84 after 30% has been taken away. So if 30% is taken away, that means 70% is equal to 84. And I now want to know what the original 100% is. Well, to do that, if I add in a step, if I say, okay, what's 10%, I can go from 10 to 100 quite easily. So let's do, to go from 70 down to 10, we need to divide by 7. And that means I do the same on this side. Divide by 7. That goes in 12 times. That means 10% is 12, so 100%, nice and easy, times by 10, 120. What's the original price? So again, that one, once you know the knack, once you know the trick, nice and easy. So just being precise, that last key step was to say, okay, well from there to there, times by 10. But that's why we go down to 10%, because it's easy to go from 10% to anything. And if that didn't work, we could go down to 1%, and from 1% you really can go to any number. Right, number 7, nearly the last question. A bag contains 7 red balls, 8 green balls, and 5 blue balls. If one ball is picked out at random, what's the probability that it's not blue? Well, that means it's not those, so how many aren't blue? Well, another way of doing it, so how many balls are there in total? So 7 plus 5 plus 8 means it's out of 20. And how many of them aren't blue? Well, you can either take away the 5 blue from 20 or add 7, 8, so it's 15 out of 20 that aren't blue. And we have to simplify that down to 3/4, in this case by dividing by 5. We always simplify by finding the highest common factor we can. So 3/4 is your answer. So this one here, that's my answer. So question 8. Calculate the obtuse angle between the hour and the minute hand. So that is this one here. And okay, some facts about clocks. The full 360 is all the angles in a circle. And since it's been divided into 12 parts, each 1 hour is going to be worth 360 divided by 12, which is 30 degrees. Which means we've got 30, 30, 30, and 30. And then this, I think, is going to be halfway between the two. So half of 30 is 15. Make that half look more like a half. 15 degrees. So we have to do 30, 30, 30 plus 15 degrees, which adds to a grand total of 135 degrees for question 8. Right, very last page, 9 and 10. Let's do red. Sam buys 5 pens for 25 pence. And twice as many pencils, so 10 pencils for 40p. He pays with a £20 note. How much change does he get? Well, first off, let's see what he bought. So he did 10 40s, so that's going to be £4. Or 400 pennies, which I've then turned to £4, just to show you how I did that. And then he's got 5 pence of 25, which is going to be 125p or £1.25. Let's add in my pennies to make that correct maths. And now, how much change is he going to get? Well, a total of, he's paid a total of 5.25. So you could do £20, take away 5.25. It's probably the easiest way, which is going to give him 14.75 left over. Question 9. Right, let's use green to end with. Number 10. What is the value of y? Right, let's do this in full. This is like we had all these in the lessons. Let's write it out and go through properly every step I can think of. Might be the hardest one of the lot, which is good that we saved it to the end. So to find out what y equals, my end goal is to have y equaling something on its own. But to start with, let's see what else. Here jumps out to me, I can collect my terms. And on the left, this jumps out to me because I can expand my brackets. So I'm going to do both at the same time. So let's do expanding brackets first. I remember there's a little times there. So I'm going to times the 7 by both the y and the 4. So I get 7 times y, which is 7y, and 7 times 4, which is 28. So that's expanding brackets. On the other side, I'm going to collect my like terms. So y plus y plus y is the same as saying I have 3 lots of y and 40. So now I've put it into a format that looks a bit like one of the questions we did in the lesson, where you've just got to rearrange the equation to get y equals. So the way to rearrange it is you always move the smallest. So this is 3y is smaller than 7y. So this is what I'm going to move. To move it, I take the 3y from both sides. And then I rewrite it, but keeping it as the same. So 7y take away 3y is 4y. Still got that 28. And that's equal to 3y take away 3y, nothing. But we still have that positive 40. And although I could write plus 40, you could equally write just 40. It would be the same thing. Right, now let's go to 28 from both sides. Rewrite it. So now I've got 4y on its own being equal to 40 minus 28, which is 12. Be okay now to write them close to each other, because if I have, going up here, 4y equal to 12, erase the times, divide both sides by 4, y equals 3. And now that I have y equals 3, done what I wanted, I can give us the answer, which is 3. So the final answer to question 10 is 3. Well done, everyone. Really well done. We survived. Give me a nice score out of 10 for us. Let you know how it goes. Again, just a reminder, no new lessons now until the 25th of April. But of course, any questions, don't hesitate to get in contact, put things on the Facebook group, or send your tutors an email. They're more than happy to help. Especially do use our tutors, guys, because they've been so good. They are checking their emails very regularly. And you can send them photos via email. You can send them all sorts. Or, of course, post things on the Facebook group as well. Brilliant, guys. Thank you so much. Hope this was helpful. All the best, and bye-bye.